Evans Community School is a special program that brings the Pine Hills neighborhood and the community together in a partnership aimed at raising academic achievement.
It really is an amazing concept to begin with. It really, what it does is it places the school at the actual center of the community.
Then we'll hear how the Paramore Kids Zone is helping to enhance education in one of Orlando's inner city communities.
So the goal is that just like you would as a parent, you want to get your kid through post-secondary education and into an economically sustainable job.
We'll talk with two Central Floridians about how innovative projects and after-school programs are enhancing the education of area kids. Next on Metro Center Outlook. Hello, I'm Diane Trees. Thanks to many after-school programs, the education process does not end when the final bell rings each day. Relatively new programs like the Evans Community School are helping redefine the education process.
The students here, well, in this community particularly, have a lot of barriers that's affecting them to get a good education.
Evans Community School is a program which offers wraparound services for our students, which really are aimed to help remove the barriers to their learning so that they can have lifelong success.
The students are involved, the business community, the faith community, not-for-profit community, universities, and the school system itself to coordinate and address issues that the students are facing that interfere with their ability to really achieve well.
Evans Community School doesn't only work with the students and help them to achieve their academic success, but it also reaches out to the broader community, asking them what it is that they would like to see would help them to be successful in life.
One of the things that we're trying to do is trying to get the community to the school first, get the community involved with the lives of the students, and allowing them the opportunity, almost in a mentoring position, to see the benefit of how their involvement impacts the lives of the children.
As a parent, I'm very elated. I'm very happy to know that it is here for us to have as a resource. Not only because we have students here, but any member of the community can come in and use it. By being involved, that's how you know what's going on in the school, what your student is doing.
There's a great appreciation when those needs that are not being met are met. Everybody wants to help. Everybody wants to make a commitment, but this can't be a short-term commitment. It must be a long-term commitment. It must be a real commitment.
We've actually signed a 25-year memorandum of agreement, which really says to the community, we're here to stay. It's a new day at Evans High School. The students are excited to come to school and they're proud to be at Evans. More importantly, they're really proud of who they're becoming, being an Evans Trojan.
Joining us now is Dean Michael Frumkin from the UCF College of Health and Public Affairs and one of the driving forces in establishing the Evans Community School. Dean Frumkin, welcome to the show.
It's great to be here.
Evans Community School, that concept, can you talk a little bit about the strategy and the idea of what makes a community school?
Yeah, it really is an amazing concept to begin with. It really, what it does is it places the school at the actual center of the community. So the school becomes kind of the resource for the entire community to grow and develop. You know, at the turn of the 20th century, pretty much every community in the country, every major city, had something called a settlement house. And those settlement houses were embedded in neighborhoods, and they became the central focus for people getting job training and child care and health care and citizenship training and learning how to speak English and getting all of those things in place. What we're trying to do is to make the school that center of community life. So the focus in a community school is clearly on helping the students to be successful in school and then successful in life after school. But to do that, you have to create an environment that they live in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that helps in that success. And so we not only do programs for the students in the school, but for their parents and their relatives and their siblings. And so we try to create community conditions that really reinforce the student's success.
Dr. Frumpkin, what's the difference with a community school and the neighborhood school that we know about?
Okay. So a community school tries to work with the whole child, with the whole student, but not only with the student, but with their families as well. And really tries to become the center of community life. So the goal is to create a really productive and positive environment for the students inside the school so they can be successful, and then outside the school to create an environment that actually fosters that success as well. So community schools provide a range of services, preschool programs, after-school programs. Embedded in every community school is a health, wellness, and mental health clinic. So students have access to health services, to dental services, things they may never have been able to get access to in other places.
Maybe the first time in their life that they've
Maybe
had this.
Absolutely. And for us, the key is to build trust with the students so that they can actually talk with us about what their needs are, and we can help design programs to meet them. So our goal is to pair every student in the school with a caring adult in the school. And that could be a teacher, it could be a staff member, it could be a community volunteer, it could be one of the staff of the community school. And then if they build up enough trust with one of those caring adults, when they have issues, when they have problems, they're comfortable in talking with them about it. And then that adult knows the services that are available in the school that we're coordinating, whether those are mental health services, counseling services, health services, whatever they are, and can actually almost physically walk the student to where they need to be to get the help that they need.
Now, Evans Community School, it's my understanding that that's the first community school in the state of Florida.
Absolutely.
And how did that come about?
It came about, we started working on this about,
Now
we would be Dave Bundy, who's the president of the Children's Home Society in Florida, Nancy Ellis, who's the director of our Center for Community Partnerships at UCF, and me, about 5.5 years ago. When I first got to the community, I was going out and meeting people. One of the first people I met was Dave, and as part of that discussion to see how we might form some partnerships to work in the community. I happened to mention to Dave, I said, do you know much about community schools? Because I had seen them when they first started in the early 1990s in New York City. And he actually had heard about them. He had always wanted to see what they look like in action. And we kept talking about it, and a few months later, we actually went to New York City, and together with Nancy, Sandy Robinson, who's the Dean of our College of Education, and toured several community schools. And then we were so impressed with what we saw that we just kept talking and working, and it's led to the development of Evans.
How did you develop the partnerships? Once you gained support for the school, how did you go about securing those partnerships?
Well, the first core partnership was between the University and Children's Home Society, and that just came about through the relationship that Dave and I built over that period of time. But then we started to go out and talk with people about this concept. And the idea of a community school is so inherently logical. The pieces of it make so much sense if you're really interested in student success and consequently in the success of their families as well, that the idea caught fire. So in all of the time that we've been doing this and all of the contacts we've made, whether it's the partnership with family health centers to come in and do the health care for us, or with the Orange County School Board with the 25-year agreement we have in Evans, or with the people in the legislature or in the governor's policy office or the Department of Education. All you get is a positive response. You get smiles.
You've just described a plethora of people, pieces. How does this all get coordinated? Is it critical to have a leadership or a champion even to have this work?
I think it's really important to have champions in leadership. I think in any project like this it is. But I think what's critical here, and another component that really differentiates a community school model in the way we're doing it at Evans, is this isn't a program where a group of outsiders come into a community and say, boy, do we know what you need. We have a magic solution that's somehow going to cure your problems. What we've been very, very careful about doing is that this needs to be a community and school-driven project. So we've come in, and the reason it's taken us 5 years to get to where we are now is we've spent a lot of time talking to a lot of people in the community. We have a community leadership council that provides ideas to us from community leaders. We have a student leadership council that provides ideas to us from the students. So we listen to what they see as their needs, and then we really try to facilitate using what we know in our connections to help them figure out the best ways to meet them. They have to own it.
Do you know of any other community schools that might be developing for our area here in Central Florida?
We actually have a plan. We actually we do a ton of tours of Evans from different school districts around the state calling us. They've heard what we're doing.
Wonderful to be a model.
It's great to be a model. You know, every community school is going to be somewhat different, but the core components and the principles are the same. And we have plans to set up a center at UCF, hopefully by the beginning of the next academic year, to work with school districts around the state that are interested in beginning community schools. Now, Orange County and Superintendent Jenkins are extraordinarily interested in expanding the concept in Orange County as well, and we're hopeful we're working with them to do that.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it's
Great
exciting.
news. Very
It's
good.
exciting.
Thank you so much for the information and what you're doing. That's fabulous.
Appreciate it.
When we come back, we'll focus on the Paramore Kids Zone and how this program is helping a local community in downtown Orlando. The Paramore Kids Zone began in 2006, and it connects children to programs that will positively impact their lives.
Paramore Kids Zone is a safe haven for a lot of the children in the community to come and to enjoy the programs that we offer, from tutoring to exploring college opportunities on college tours. And then when there are some challenges, that something just need someone to speak with, we have mentors to work directly with the children that we serve. Our passion that we share with our future generation is electric. When you see the smiles of those children's faces when they come here to Paramore Kids Zone, you know that you've done something right.
Paramore Kids Zone pretty much is like the shoulder that I sometimes need to lean on. When I ain't got no other place to turn, I know I can always turn to Paramore Kids Zone.
It's very important because it helps people realize that there's somebody out there that cares for you other than your parents or your family. It keeps people out of the streets and not doing anything negative, keep us doing positive things. But there's people that set a positive role in your life and they want you to do better.
I think it's very important to have a place like this because it really helps us keep a positive mind and know that we have somewhere to go if we need help or need someone to talk to. We have a lot of advocates, people that you probably never seen before will come up to you and help you like they knew you for your whole life.
If you are about impacting the next generation in a community where sometimes the little things that you do go such a long way, it's amazing at times. It really is. If you love children, you love people, you love Paramore Kids Zone.
Lisa Early is the director of the Families, Parks, and Recreation Department for the City of Orlando and the guiding force with Paramore Kids Zone. Lisa, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Diane. Appreciate it.
How do after-school programs help engage children and then in turn promote academic success?
I think when you talk about a neighborhood like Paramore, I think one of the things to consider is that it's a very, very low-income neighborhood, and about half of the parents in the neighborhood don't have a high level of education. They don't even have a high school diploma. So they may be working in relatively low-wage jobs. They may be working very hard, have 1, 2, 3 jobs to make ends meet, not have their own transportation, so they have to take public transportation. So a lot of focus of parents is on basic needs. Matter of fact, we did a survey in Paramore in 2007 when we first started the program, and 86% of the parents said they run out of money before the end of the month for basic needs like food. They're always faced with utility shutoffs, empty refrigerators, possible eviction because they haven't paid rent. And so when parents are really trying to just survive, they can't afford after-school programs for their kids. They can't afford childcare. So very often kids are left without any supervision. So after-school programs are really critically important, particularly in neighborhoods where families don't have the wherewithal to be able to pay for after-school programs or keep their kids in supervised care. And so, and that's all the way to young children too. We're talking about childcare and after school.
Gap that you feel.
Yes, very important. And not only that, but because the parents are not well educated, those programs really need to be academically enriched because I think about my own kid, you know, when he needs help with school, I'm there to help him. I have a college degree myself. I have a computer at home, so he can do his research at home, and he has internet access. And if he needs tutoring in a particular subject, I can pay for that, or paying for sports programs. I mean, he's a soccer player, so I spend a lot of money on that. So when you have financial resources and you're educated yourself, you're able to provide all those things for your child. But when you don't have that, unless the neighborhood steps up and provides that in an easily accessible manner to families, the kids don't have anything. They're unsupervised and they don't get those extra supports.
Mm-hmm. Now, you started the program, and I know it was modeled after the Harlem Children's Zone.
Yes.
The big difference is you took a multi-agency approach. Why did you choose that, and what does that mean?
Well, I would say the Harlem Project is, as you said, it's a nonprofit organization, so it's a children's services provider. And Paramore Kids Zone is really Mayor Dyer's initiative. So it's more of a public policy approach. So in other words, when Mayor Dyer became mayor, you know, we know in any community, children often face struggles. There are issues of juvenile crime and teen pregnancy and schools that are struggling to be successful. And so from a public policy standpoint, the mayor looked at that and what role can a mayor play? And so the goal was, well, let's identify those neighborhoods where kids are disproportionately not doing well, and let's convene all of the stakeholders, whether it's business, philanthropy, the nonprofit community, the education community, civic groups, neighborhood residents. Let's convene everybody and let's work together to solve these problems together and make investments in those neighborhoods and things we know are good for kids so that we can move the needle on child well-being in those neighborhoods. So it's more of a public policy approach as opposed to a nonprofit organization providing services to children.
How did you, when you first started the program, did you have difficulty getting youth to participate? Was it a new kind of idea, or did
Not
people just
really.
walk in?
I think
they were so ready to have some help?
I think it depends, and we tested a lot of things, and there were some things that kids didn't want to participate in. We were kind of, like I said, everybody who wants to join us. We need all hands on deck. This is going to take a whole village to help turn things around. And so some of the programs the kids or the parents did not want to participate in because they weren't interested in them, or they didn't feel there was a genuine passion and respect for them and their families, or an understanding, or it was outside of the neighborhood and hard to get to, or there were too many hoops you had to go through to qualify. And then there were other organizations that the kids loved, or programs that the kids loved. So, you know, what I like to say is, you know, in the early days we had a grassroots outreach nonprofit going door to door and knocking on doors, and recruiting kids for sports programs, and all the kids wanted to be on the sports programs, and they wanted to come down to the downtown rec center where we had a big barbecue and we were doing, a basketball program. You want to come down, it's a party. Everybody would come out, but you have to go to the community with what they want, not what you think they want. And those programs that the community wanted, that they felt there were genuine people who really cared about them, that were willing to work with them based on the neighborhood's needs, those were embraced by the neighborhood very easily and quickly filled up. And so we invested in those programs and have scaled them up over the years.
You talk in the website a little bit about the Cradle to Career. What is that concept? Can you explain that to our viewers?
I think just like a parent, we have a lot of work to do with our kids, and it doesn't end when they enter kindergarten. It doesn't end when they're in third grade. It doesn't even end when they're 18, So I think, there are specialized programs and organizations that specialize in a particular age group, like preschool age kids or teenagers or elementary school age kids, and they partner with us in this program. But our goal is to work with all of the kids from Cradle to Career in Paramore, and so we start at birth and go all the way through age 24. We actually have one 25-year-old. So the goal is that just like you would as a parent, you want to get your kid through post-secondary education and into an economically sustainable job so that they can pay their own rent and really be economically successful adults. And so we work with kids until that happens.
You're nurturing them all along then.
Yes, all along. And we have partners who specialize in different age groups, but they're all joined together in this Cradle to Career continuum.
And that's part of the multi-agency approach.
Yes.
How important is it to have health and nutrition aspects in some of the programs that you offer?
It's very important, and we do a lot of health and wellness programming. We had over 800 kids last year involved in health and wellness programs, and we're very focused on prevention. We are particularly involved in the obesity prevention angle, so we do a lot of physical activity programs, a lot of sports programs. We also have partnership with Ebony Nutrition, where we've put a lot of kids through teaching them how to cook and eat healthy meals. We have a couple of community gardens in the neighborhood, so a lot of really cool stuff going on as it relates to health and wellness.
Lisa, looking towards the future, what do you see in store for PKZ?
We had always, when we started this, said, let's start in one neighborhood and let's see if we can move the needle on juvenile crime and academic performance and teen births and those sorts of things in the neighborhood, and we have moved the needle. And then let's begin to replicate this in other similar neighborhoods around Orlando. And we have begun to replicate some of those practices in other neighborhoods around Orlando. So for instance, we recently got a grant from the Corporation for National Community Service for an AmeriCorps program, and so we now have 6 sites around the city where we have deployed AmeriCorps members to work with older youth in using the same model we use in Paramore, to work with them in their schools during the day and then after school back in the neighborhood to help them be successful academically.
Oh, what a perfect succession to
Yes.
have with that.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Congratulations on the grant.
Thank you very much.
That's all the time we have for our show today. Please visit wucftv.org/metro for interactive features, special content, and much more. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, I'm Diane Trees.